So when you're just not at home and you don't have a table, for example, you're at the doctor's and you have a deck of cards with you, which I would highly suggest because I always have a deck of cards with me wherever I go. Hey Wanderers, it's Alex. Today I'm starting a new series actually. Although I love board and card games way too much, there's almost nothing that beats a regular deck of cards. This small package is enough to play an incredible number of games. Although I'm not a pure solo channel, this is my biggest focus, so I thought I'd show you cool solo games you can play with just a deck of cards. And believe me, there are really a lot you can do there. This also provides me with the opportunity to show off all my cool decks of cards I own. Alright, so today I will bring you the game Solitaire Gin Rummy. Some of you might already know it, but I think it's a good entry point because it's a really simple game, and also you can play that as an in-hand game variant, so you can just play it anywhere you go without a table. I will show you at the end how you can modify the game a little bit, so you can also play it anywhere you go. Alright, so first, let me show you the deck of cards which I will be using for today's playthrough. This is the Lucky 13 deck, and what is the most interesting thing about this deck? Well, let me show you. So in a regular deck of cards, right, you have the regular suit here of the ace at the beginning, or in some games also at the end, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right, and then the jack, the queen, and the king. So that is pretty much the regular order of cards. There are games that change that a little bit, but that is the regular order of cards, and that exists for every suit. And for some people that is a little bit, for people who don't play as many card games, that is a little bit confusing. Like, they need to remember that's the jack, the queen, and then the king. I think it's not hard to remember, but I've been playing cards almost since I was able to play games at all. So I started at a very young age, so this is just ingrained in my brain. But there is a deck that changes that a little bit, that helps out there, and that is the Lucky 13 deck. So first of all, this is a limited deck that I backed on Kickstarter. So you can see here there were only 2,500 printed, and I got, I think, 3 of those, and this is number 1319. So that is a pretty cool touch, and it has like a really cool texture here. It's also embossed and everything, so it's really nice. I like that black cat here also, and I like the idea that 13 is usually unlucky, and it's just called Lucky 13 because there are 13 cards per suit. Alright, so first of all, we have a really nice back here. It's also pretty well, a pretty good quality here. They're quite thin, the cards, but actually I've come to really enjoy thinner cards. So thinner cardstock, and these just shuffle and handle really nice. You see the logo here that you also have on the tuck box. And then let me now get to the interesting part. These are the jokers, and the jokers are pretty cool because that's just a backer. Pretty cool because one cat has the eyes closed, one has it opened, so that is pretty cool. And now you see, whoop, there's a 1. What is that sorcery? Well, because if we look at these cards here, you see that we do have 13 cards, but we don't have any court cards. We don't have any face cards that we know from the other deck, and also no ace. Instead, we have 1 through 13. So 2 to 10, that's the regular numbers you know, and then usually would be jack, king, queen, and king. But instead you have just 11, 12, 13, because, I mean, that's the order, right? That's the order the other cards are in. So why have face cards if you can just use numbers instead? And the ace is just the 1 because the ace is usually at the beginning. In this game, the 1 can also be at the end, so that will be slightly confusing, but I think we will be able to work with that. And isn't that pretty cool? I think this is a really cool idea to make specific games that don't rely on face cards, so that face cards are worth 10 or anything, but just rely on the order. If just the order is important, then this deck is a great thing for beginners. Alright, that was my presentation of the deck, which I really enjoy. And also you see that the pips here are really, really large. So it is a pretty cool deck actually. And we don't need the double backer, so let me get that out of here. Okay, so, but now we are Gotta look at what you came here for, and that is the game. So we will be playing Solitaire Gin Rummy. One of my most favorite card games ever is Rummy. It's actually my second most favorite card game, right after Canasta. So Rummy is a game you play at a player count starting at 2. It is better with 3 and more players, up until a player count of 6 usually. And what you do in that game is try to meld cards in your to meld cards. Melding means that you either you want a numerical sequence, like 2, 3, 4, for example, with at least 3 cards, but you can extend that with as many cards as you want to. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, whatever you want to, in one suit. That is very important. Or you have cards of the same kind. That means, for example, several 3s, at least 2. You at least need 2 of these. You need at least 3. 3 of the same kind always, so you can never meld 2 cards. It always needs to be 3 at least, or maybe even 4 if you take the last 3 that is still missing here, but they all need to be different suits, which is not possible any other way because each number only exists 1 for each suit, right? So you can have maximum of 4 with that. And that is the melds you're trying to create in Rummy. Then there is Gin Rummy. That is the 2-player variant that makes Rummy a little bit different. I'm not the biggest fan of Gin Rummy. I rather like the regular Rummy version, even with 2 persons, but it's a pretty good variant apart from that. And now we have Solitaire Gin Rummy. So let me show you how that works. So first of all, you of course shuffle the cards well. Alright, so the cards are shuffled, and what you now do is, now you take one of the 2 jokers in your game. Let's just take the sleeping one, and then you just put the joker in here, and you just shuffle the deck again. Let me just do a quick overhand shuffle. I shuffled the deck this way now that the joker should be a little bit further at the bottom, just for demonstration purposes. And then you put the deck just here on the table. I will show you a different variant later. And you draw the first 10 cards. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are now the cards in your hand. You can now sort them the way you want to. What I usually do is I sort them by suit and then in an ascending order. So if you just take a look here, I would do it like this. So now you see that I just sorted them by suit. We have diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs here, and in ascending order. You don't need to do that, but that is okay. And you see I shuffled them quite well because we can't really meld too much yet. So we have 2 12s here, so that if we get a third one, we could meld those. We have a 7 and 8 here, so that might be a numerical sequence at some point, but we don't have a whole lot of good things. And now what we do is, let me just put that a little bit like this here. Like this, that should work. Okay. So, and now we always draw the top card of the deck. And then we discard one again. So, let me discard, well, I can't do a whole lot with the 3 here, I think. Either if, we maybe get another 4 or 5. The 5 here is pretty useless at the moment, right? The 5 of spades here. So I will just discard that one. Alright, and that is how the game continues. You just draw a card and you discard one. And you are trying to meld all the cards in your hand. That all cards are part of either a numerical sequence or at least 3 of a kind before you draw the joker. As soon as you draw the joker, the game ends. And until then, you need to have melded everything. And then we will discard something again. Well, I think I will discard the 4 here. Draw a new card. The 3, well, we could maybe meld it with that 3 later on. So let's keep it for now. The 2 12s would be fine. 10, 11 would also be fine. That might also be an idea to get rid of the 12s. Because if we get that 12... the diamond one, I would rather use it here, but there still is a club 12 of clubs. So let's see. I will actually get rid of the 3s. I think they help me the least. 2, that one doesn't help me either. Discard it. The 1, So that is one thing that I still need to explain. The one which is the ace in a regular game, that one can either be at the front before the 2 or after the king, or in this case the 13, right? It can also be always be the last or the first card. But still, we don't have any 2 of spades or 13, so I think I will also get rid of that one. 9. The 9 doesn't help us either. Oh, no, the 9 would have been good. You know what? Let's keep the 8 for now. I will get rid of the 3 because that's what I wanted to do all the time, right? 7. All right, the 7 is pretty nice because we would now have 3 7s here, as you can see. That is pretty nice, so we could meld those. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let me arrange those together now so we know we will definitely meld those. Like this. So these are already melded. That is wonderful. And then we will get rid of the 6 because we don't need that anymore. 11, not bad, not bad. That is not bad. So you see we have a lot of like 2 11s, 2 12. We have 11, 12 here. We have 10, 11, 13. So we are getting places here. And then I will get rid of the 8s, I think. So let's get rid of the 8. Now we draw the 8, of course. Well, still, let's get rid of that one. The 3 is not going to help us either. You got to be kidding me. Let's get rid of the 8. Oh, 10. See here. 10, 11, 12. That would be perfect. So we have the first numerical sequence. Let me just rearrange that a little bit. Like this here. So you see, now we have 3 7s and we have a 10, 11, 12. That is perfect. If we get a 12 here now, that would be really, really great. All right, let's get rid of the 3. And we have the 12. So, and now you see we have 7, 7, 7, 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13. And we still need to discard one card, so we will discard this one. And now you see, before we draw even the next card, we have, our hand is full of melds. So we have 3 of a kind, 3 7s. We have a numerical sequence here with 10, 11, 12, all in hearts. And we have a numerical sequence 10, 11, 12, 13, all with diamonds. And so we won the game. And if we would have drawn further, when would the Joker have been there? Right there. So we would have another about 10 cards more, and then we would have drawn the Joker, which would have ended the game, but we actually made it, which is really great. So we actually won that game. So let me show you a few things you can do with the game. Now you know how to play, but let me show you a few things. So first of all, let me get out that Joker again, just so that I can show something to you. There we go. So first of all, what you can also do is the following. You can just shuffle the Joker in the deck someplace, and then you can take the first 10 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can just flip them and spread them out like this. What happens now is you have everything in one hand. And then you can just take a card here, right? If you hold these cards in place a little bit and then take it out, you can do it without them being rearranged or without them falling off. And then you can just take that card and you can discard another card. And if you discard a card, I would suggest you take a card and then you just put it just face up at the bottom, right? So it has a different orientation than the ones you're still drawing. And this way, you can play the game. Yeah, let's take this one, for example. This way, you can play the game in one hand. So when you're just not at home and you don't have a table, for example, you're at the doctor's and you have a deck of cards with you, which I would highly suggest because I always have a deck of cards with me wherever I go. This is the reason. You have an appointment at the doctor and you need to wait half an hour. Well, you can play 2 or 3 games of Solitaire Gin Rummy. And do you need a table? No, you don't. You can play it in one hand. If that is too much for you to play it in one hand, what you can also do is take these 10 cards here. I think these are 10. You can just take them like this, and you can leave the deck in the other hand. So you have 2 hands here, right? And then you can just draw one card like this, and then you can discard one card here again, right? So you can pull down a card and discard it down here. That is also possible. I think this actually, although you don't have to have everything in one hand, is a little bit more cumbersome. But then again, I mean, you only need one. You only need room for just one deck you place someplace, and usually you can also put that on your leg or on your lap or whatever. So this game is really easy to play in terms of rules, but also in terms of how you can set it up and where you can play it. But don't leave yet. There is another thing I want to show you, because you might have always seen a problem if you take the Joker and you shuffle it into the deck. You could be really unlucky that when you shuffle it, that you draw your first hand of cards, and oh no, there already is a Joker there, which is a problem because then you already lost the game. So there are a few things you can do to remedy that. First of all, you can draw 10 cards first. I don't know if these are 10 cards, but just for example, and then you shuffle the Joker in. Then you don't have the Joker in your starting hand. But then you could also, oh, okay, now we would be really lucky, but you could also have the Joker within your first few cards and immediately lose. So what I usually do is the following. I draw my 10 cards, and then I split the deck in half approximately. I take the Joker and shuffle it in one of these halves, and then I put that half with the Joker at the bottom. That ensures me that I have about, let me just quickly fix the exposure here, because it's getting a little bit bright. So like this is much better. And this now ensures that I have about half a deck to try to get my hand perfectly melded before I draw the Joker. And even when you're done with the first half, you don't know in that half where the Joker is. So you have much more time to actually finish your hand. And I think that's much more fun than having the Joker at any place and then maybe having a few games in a row where you draw it as the 4th, 5th or 6th card or anything like that, because that is quite frustrating. So that is something that I would suggest to you. First of all, splitting the deck in half and putting the Joker in the second half at the bottom of the draw deck, and also thinking about maybe practicing the idea with the in-hand version here, so you can play it pretty much anywhere and just play the game like this. And that concludes my playthrough of Solitaire Gin Rummy and also the deck showcase of Lucky 13. I hope you enjoy this small series. These videos will all be a little bit on the shorter side, and I will not have them every week, but I will publish them more and more. I have a lot of decks here at home. There are a lot of different games you can play solo, so I think this will be really cool. And I mean, with one deck of cards, as I said, you have an entire world of gaming in your hand with just this small package. Alright, if you're still watching, thank you very much for doing so. I highly appreciate that. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, why don't you drop by my channel? There are a lot of videos there, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one other video you will enjoy. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the very next video. Alright, take care everyone, and cheers!